Hello and welcome to Grief on a Tuesday Night, number 15. I'm well aware, as I sit here today, that it's a week until it's going to be a year since life changed from last year. Just one week and it's going to be a year. We were at a gig on Sunday night to see Parkway Drive, and after the second support band had finished, they were playing a few songs. They were quite easy going. It was like Living on a Prayer, Bon Jovi, and stuff like that. Bohemian Rhapsody came on for a bit, and stuff that everyone was singing along to. I think Journey, Don't Stop Believing, and then they played a song by Bryan Adams, and all of a sudden, it just came sort of flooding back, and that song's got some memories. And I said, yeah, cheers, Parkway Drive. Thanks a lot for playing that, and especially that particular song. So yeah, it wasn't lost on me, but we'll come back to Parkway Drive later on. So yeah, we had the trip to Rotterdam. So we left on Wednesday from Bristol. Had a few hours in Amsterdam, but it was fairly late, so we were going to be up early next morning for the train. So yeah, we had a sort of potter about for a bit, went to a few places, but we knew we had some time on the last day coming back, so we'd sort of do stuff then. So yeah, down to Rotterdam. It took about an hour and 10 minutes on the train. It's really easy. Their system is really good, and like most systems in Europe, absolutely smashes ours to pieces in terms of value, in terms of its efficiency. You look here and people will post up, I need to get from London to Leeds or something. It's 450 quid or something. It's just absolutely ridiculous. This country is ridiculous, obviously, but it just shows you we're miles behind in Europe. So yeah, about hour and 10, hour and 15 down to Rotterdam. Found our hotel, and it was one of those where just for a change, we'd pick somewhere that wasn't like a standard hotel chain. It was more of an independent family-run thing. And from the outside, it didn't look that great. And we were there too early to check into the room, but they were really, really friendly. They said, look, we'll keep your bags out the back here, stick some tags on them. And they said, well, look, we know we won't even be out of the ground by 11:30 when they closed and everyone went home. So, we won't be back here until 12:30, 1 in the morning, easy. So they gave us our key card, told us what we had to do when we got back. And just tagged up our bags, and then we were sort of free to go. It was, it was a bit, sometimes it was cold. There wasn't a lot of sun. It was pretty cloudy, but we found a bar for a bit called the 1898. We had something to eat, and it was opposite the fan zone where eventually we had to go. So quite often we'll meet up with people, but we'll do our own thing, go into the ground, and probably normally try and get there early. This time we weren't allowed to, so you couldn't rock up at De Kuip and just head into the away end. You had to go on the train, and you had to go to the fan zone to get your band to go on the train. So we met some of our friends over there. There was sort of 3 lots of people we wanted to meet up with at the time, and we did. So having a few drinks over there. The fan zone was really well spread out. It was like in the old harbour. And then there was probably like 10 bars, 10 restaurants. So it wasn't like everyone was crushed into a couple. So even though it was busy and we had sort of 2,500, just under 2,500 fans there, it never got too overcrowded or anything like that. And it was really good. And the time passed then. We basically knew, and this guy said, if you've got the blue band, you're on the first train, you need to sort of head over there now, back out the fan zone area and over to like the police fans and whatever else. And as far as we were concerned, the organisation was pretty good. we were, near the front of the queue. Went down onto the platform. They lined everybody up. A couple of trains went past at high speed at quite close range, which was interesting. And yeah, the train turned up to take us to De Kuip. The train driver was fist pumping as he drove in and slowed down, which was quite funny. And then it slowed up outside the ground. We've been there before. We know how the system works for away fans. It was just the first time that we've then been part of this organisation to get away fans in. Jumped off the train quick. You sort of go up the steps, over the bridge, down the steps, and they had one area you went through. Then there were two turnstiles, one where they were checking your ticket, and then the next one where they actually scanned it and you went through. And you went through the second one and you got a proper thorough search, as you do tend to get when you're an English fan abroad. And then you go up through a tunnel, a tube, over the top, where it just means you cannot mingle at all with the home fans. You can't, no one could throw anything out from there. There's just no way you can contact anybody, and it drops you down into your section. We had four sections basically, and you get up there, and it's typical European away. It's netted off, but they had perspex as well. Then there's netting in front of the Feyenoord fans who are below you, so you're sort of looking through double netting and perspex at times as well. It's not the best, but it is what it is. You part of you expects it, and it wasn't there, especially for us. It's there all the time, and you sort of forget it when the game's going, even though you know it's there. It's almost like you sort of block it out. The atmosphere was probably one of the best in the European aways I've been to. There's been times when you get drowned out by very noisy home fans like Legia Warsaw, and other times the atmosphere just doesn't carry for whatever reason. But this, I think, with the people banging on the perspex, it was almost like having a drummer, which I'm never keen on, but this seemed to work. And the atmosphere was really good. It was good in the first half, and then second half it sort of ramped up. And once we scored and went 1-0 up, it just kept going and going. And we won the game 2-0 in the end. We were really, really good second half. It was a classic European away performance. You weather a storm and you get through the tough bits, and then we started to impose ourselves second half and really deserved it in the end. But the atmosphere was tremendous. It just kept going and going and going, and the banging on this glass just sort of, I don't know, it just elevated. It was like you had a beat to go along to, and it was it was really, really good. Locking afterwards for sort of 45 minutes or so. Pretty grim. The toilets were horrendous, and they overflowed, and by the time we were just about to go, there was like this stream from the top falling down. It was like a sort of mini Niagara Falls. It was pretty horrendous. And we got out. Just waited at the station for a bit, and then we were supposed to get taken back to Rotterdam Central, where we were going to walk back to our hotel, because it was like 10 minutes from there. But then there was an issue, and we had to get off much earlier. The door seemed to be jammed, and the guy had already asked everyone to get off once, and nobody could. And then he was like getting quite irate to get off the train, and people were saying, "Well, we can't get off the fucking train because the doors are stuck." And eventually they opened up, and then quite by chance, excuse me, just having little drinks there. Quite by chance, we bumped into a couple of lads we've met on a few of the away trips. The trams had finished because it was sort of 12:30 or whatever, so there were no more trams. And then unbelievably, they were at the same hotel as us. The chances of that all sort of merging together were just nuts. There must have been astronomical odds. The one lad called an Uber, and we were back in sort of 5 minutes at the at the hotel. But yeah, this hotel was so obviously the first time we saw the room was when we got back, because we were too early to check in the morning before. And yeah, we were staggered, because you're sort of used to, you know, when you go into like ibises and stuff like that, you know, the size of the room and all the rest of it. But it was like double the size. Big bathroom, big shower. You know, just like a walk-in shower. Sort of 50-inch TV on the wall. The two sort of separate beds, but like a big sofa to sit on in the corner as well. Yeah, absolutely staggered us how good it was. We really weren't expecting that. So yeah, props to them. We definitely use them if we ever went back to Rotterdam, which I don't think we will now. We've seen Amsterdam like 3 times and Rotterdam twice, so it's going to take probably a special set of circumstances to have to go back there again. But yeah, really pleased with the hotel. It was great. And yeah, just came back on the Friday, potted around Amsterdam for a little while, and then we were just looking for food, and we ended up going to Molly Malone's, which I remembered from the trip to Ajax. We'd been in there then, and so yeah, it was quite nice. Stayed in there for about an hour and a bit, and then it was sort of time to head back. And yeah, there was no real delay on the flight. It was only 5 or 10 minutes out, and yeah, just the really the really hairy landing. So basically, we landed in Storm Amy when she was right at her worst, I think, as well. The pilot had said before we took off from Amsterdam, he said, "Oh, it's about 13 and windy in Bristol," and he hadn't mentioned anything else. I suppose you wouldn't say, "Oh, it's a real storm brew," and I'm going to be lucky if we get this down at the other end. Not much turbulence on the flight. Pretty smooth. It's only an hour. It's an easy flight, even when you got some dickwad behind kicking your seat. But you can just take it. It's an hour. It's like sort of 9 or 10 songs on your, you know, coming through your earphones, and you'll be virtually there, you know. And yeah, as soon as we got under the clouds coming in for the landing, it was obviously it was raining. It was sort of hitting the windows, and you could see it flying over the wings. And then you could tell he was sort of really fighting it as we started to get lower and lower. It was. I've seen videos where they sort of land at an angle in the high winds. Now I don't know if we did that, but it seemed like he was just battling it all the time. And it was a bit of a hairy landing. I spoke to a lad at the weekend at the football who was on the same flight. So I thought we were going to die. And it's probably not that bad, but it wasn't a lot of fun. And then as soon as, you know, they open the doors and we get off, yeah, I said thanks to one of the cabin staff who was stood there. And then as soon as you went outside the door, it was like you were hit by not only the incredibly high winds, but like a power shower as well. It was just swirling across like horizontal rain. It was mental. And we sort of turned around and said, "Oh, well done, pilot. That was some landing. We didn't even realize it. We knew it was bad, but didn't realize it was this bad." And yeah, the trip back was pretty hairy. You know, the motorway, the spray was going everywhere, and most people were sort of doing about 60, but you get the old lorry sort of shoot by, and yeah, it was it wasn't the best, but yeah, it was a good trip. Yeah, I love going over Rotterdam's. Yeah, De Koop's going to be will always be a special ground, obviously for Villa players and fans. And we went there 2 years ago to see a game because I wanted to go there, and of course we end up then drawing them 2 years later, so you get to go again. But it is such a special place. You know, you can never have any sort of bad feelings for Feyenoord at all, or we certainly couldn't. But yeah, we had a day to recover, which seemed to go very, very quickly. And then we had the Burnley game on Sunday. And I'd sort of forgotten really that Parkway Drive was coming up, because it was one of those gigs where most of the time, you're going to see a band or an artist who you really like, and you're excited to see them. We both like them, and basically, I've bought albums of theirs, but I wouldn't sort of call myself a big. I am the right way to word this. I am a fan, but not a big enough fan that I listen to it a lot and all the time and know the lyrics and that sort of thing. You know, a bit more of a casual fan. And yeah, the first two bands, there was the Amity Affliction, who were a metalcore band. So there was like the clean singing and then the screaming, growling, whatever it was. Didn't get a word of that from him. I mean, I love heavy music and I love shouty music and stuff like that. But I think sometimes you get to a certain point where you've got, all the bands that you like and and someone new coming in has got to do something a bit different to grab your attention, and they didn't get a word, anything of what the lead singer said, and the bass player was sort of singing really squeaky clean, and it was almost a bit too nice. But the big thing for us was that we thought they were cheating, basically, because there was just 4 of them on stage, and about 5 of the tracks either had a piano back into them or a keyboard backing, or like a piano outro or something like that. Now, obviously, I know this goes on. All bands do it to a certain extent. It's just how far they push it. But we were looking at each other. What we both noticed sort of straight away, and it was like, the keyboards on a couple of the songs were a big part of the backing to it. It wasn't just a small part. And we said, if you're gonna make songs with that in, then have a keyboard player on stage, or don't put it in the songs if there's no way you can do it live. So we just felt they were cheating a bit. So we weren't impressed with that. And then Die Artist Murder were a death metal band. Again, never got a word of anything he said. They were very tight. They were very good at what they did. But it just, once you did the first song, you did the next 7 as well. Just at various different paces occasionally. But yeah, it did absolutely nothing for me at all. And then, they played all this sort of pretty easygoing music. It was like Journey and Bryan Adams and Bon Jovi and Queen and all this sort of stuff. And it's almost like a bit of a palate cleanser, after that and before they came on. And incredible show. They absolutely blow the budget on pyro, on the extras. They had a couple of songs where they had 3 women on the sort of string section, so there was no sort of cheating going on with that. Pyro for days everywhere on certain songs. They walk in from the back of the arena to the stage. They started on a small square, and then this big ramp comes down after the first song, and they all sort of take their positions. Winston, the lead vocals, fuck he earns his money. One song, Wishing Wells, he's in a sort of square within the square. Basically, it just showers him with rain for the entire sort of 4 minutes of the song. So he's wearing this big sort of black coat. And just to add into sort of the effects of what that song's about as well. And then he's got another song where he's in with the crowd. And sometimes he's up on the ramp, sometimes he's at the back. So he really earns his corn, to be fair. They did a bit of a mashup of their first album. He made a little speech about how it was never ever the goal to become a band that was selling out arenas. We did notice a lot of the back and some of the sides had been curtained off. So it wasn't like what I'd call an Iron Maiden sellout, where every seat front to back, every space on the floor is taken. It wasn't quite like that. Excuse me. And it was a phenomenal show. Like I said, pyro for days. When they played Crushed, it was pyro on the square, pyro from the ramp, pyro on the stage, and then the only negative was that on that on the pyro, on the drum around the drum kit cage. The drum kit was rotating and it was on fire, but the way they positioned it, we were to the left, sort of left the stage, but had a really good view. But the way they positioned it, you couldn't see Ben, the drummer, at all. I kept thinking at some point he's going to appear, it's going to move into the middle like every other fucking band in the world has a drummer in the middle at the back, or prominent somewhere. And you see it from videos from the other side, and he's sort of wedged diagonally on the left-hand side of the stage. You can only really see him from the middle or the right. And yeah, he had a rotating kit that was on fire. We didn't see any of it. You could just literally see the edge, but nothing to do with him. And occasionally pop up on the screen. So that was the only negative. I thought it was a really stupid thing to place him out of sight for so many people. Didn't understand that at all. I mean, there's probably reasons for it, I'm sure, but yeah, the show, their part, not so much the first two support bands, but for their part, they were really good. I was surprised at when the obvious encore was coming, when they walked off, but you knew they were coming back, and quite a few people seemed to leave, and they came back and did a couple more songs. But yeah, so yeah, big thumbs up for them. They were really good. So yeah, and then it's just been a bit of a recovery for a couple of days. To be fair, we're absolutely knackered, and yeah, there's probably a big week coming up from the weekend. We've already had the mother-in-law trying to phone us. She was trying to phone us as we were heading to the airport, and we just ignored it. She'd been on the phone. She normally calls my son and just hassles him for 45 minutes at a time. And this time she couldn't get him, and she spoke to me. So I'm immediately thinking something's wrong because she's actually speaking to me. But it turned out she just wanted to, vent and talk. It was a little bit like talking to my mum when she was alive. It was all about her talking. And in the end, you just sit there and listen and say, yeah. And there was no point you interacting with anything about yourself, because it would just get turned around and go back to them. So I had that, which was a real tough 40 minutes of listening to her. So when that phone went on the way down to the airport, it was like, no way. We'll speak to her when we're back. We're not speaking to her now, before we go. But I'm sure there's going to be, there's going to be probably some difficult days ahead. But we'll see what that brings, and we'll get through it. Anyway, that's it from me. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do musical wise. I'm thinking on the intro. By now you probably realise I just like heavy music and rock music and whatever. But there was a song by a guy called DJ Norman when we went to Ajax, and they love it. They play it all the time. So I think I might use that as my intro. But it's totally alien to what I'd normally like, and we'll think about something to finish it off with as well. But anyway, yeah, take care. I know there's people from Spring, I really hope it's for real and it's not a VPN, but Spring, Texas and Wisconsin came up again. And yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening from wherever you are. I'll say I genuinely really hope that's real and it's not a VPN, and it's just maybe someone in Slough or something, not quite so exciting. But yeah, let's see where the next week takes us and see what happens. But yeah, take care, everyone. Be good. See ya. I remember summer days.